You're a musician, you've been playing for years, maybe 10, maybe even more, and you've heard about cruise ship work, the salary, the travel, the contracts, and some part of you is interested. But there's this one question that you keep coming back to, and you haven't found a straight answer to it yet. Am I actually good enough? Not just good enough in a vague way, but good enough for this. Good enough to get hired, good enough to perform every single night, good enough that an agent looks at your show reel and says yes. This is exactly what this video is about. I spent 4 years on cruise ships as a piano bar entertainer, including one contract that lasted 11 months, and I now coach musicians and work directly with booking agencies. I've had real conversations with agents about what they're actually looking for. So I'm going to give you the real benchmarks, not just the version that feels good, but the raw, honest one. The version that actually helps you figure out where you're standing right now. Okay, let's first talk about the honest benchmark for technique. So it really depends what instrument you play and whether you sing or not, and you don't need to have conservatoire level, but you do need to have a solid and consistent technique and to be able to perform under pressure. A lot of people ask me if classical training is required, if they look at certifications or these kind of things, and the truth is they don't. They just look at what you can do right now, what are your abilities. So if you're applying for a role as part of the orchestra or the show band, they're going to audition you and to see what your level is right now. And otherwise, they're just going to look at your video. But what you've done before, what you've studied, they just don't care, and that doesn't matter. I think it's really cool to have classical training, but it's definitely not a requirement. And the truth is that stylistic flexibility matters way more than technical flexibility. What I mean by that is that if you're able to play different genres to make it sound like you're playing different things to someone who knows nothing about music, right? But they're going to tell, hey, I can tell the difference between these two things you just played here. That matters way more than you knowing how to do crazy scales up and down, especially if you're reading sheet music, which is not going to be helpful to you at all if you are performing in front of a crowd and that you are applying for a job where interaction really matters and where you're supposed to know stuff off the top of your mind with the lyrics or the chords in front of you. And so the real question to ask yourself, I think, is more, would you be able to perform in front of a group of strangers for 2 hours without falling apart? If you're not, it's actually okay too, because as you're going to be working on the cruise ship, you're going to be getting experience. When I started, I was not really good. I didn't have that much experience, and I learned as I go. I was really nervous at the start, and I figured it out as I went. My chords, what I was playing was kind of boring and always the same at the start, and then I learned as I went. But you do need to have some technique and some confidence in playing different styles and on accompanying yourself if that's what you're applying for. Now about sight reading. So it's the same as classical training. If you're applying for an audition where you're going to need to read sheet music, like for the show band, for example. So the show band is the band that accompanies the showcast on the main theater stage. Then you really need to know sight reading, and the audition is going to be about this. But if you are applying for a solo position or duo, trio, or party band, you do not need sight reading at all. What really matters for these positions is that you can learn songs quickly, that you can adapt to whoever you're playing with. If you're playing a singer who needs you to turn the key down, for example, because it's too high for them or whatever. If you're playing with someone who doesn't know the song and you're like, being able to adapt is really important. And if you're playing on your own, it really doesn't matter if you know sight reading or not. Now, how good do you need to be at singing and playing at the same time? Now, again, it really depends what you're applying for. If you're applying for my position, like piano bar entertainer, piano vocalist, or even guitar vocalist, then you really need to sing, obviously. Of course, you need to sing in tune, and you need to, and the benchmark I'd give it is someone who doesn't know you. Would they say, hey, I like your voice, like you sing in a nice way? If they do say that, that's a good sign that you're nice listening to. You should know this. Like, do you think you have a nice voice to listen to? And I think this is the most important benchmark. And of course, for everything else, like all the other jobs, you don't need to play and sing at the same time unless you want to. You might be able to do that in groups, like in party bands, if you're part of one and you want to do it, but it's optional. It's more like whether you're a singer or an instrumentalist, then you have to focus on your thing. Last thing I'd like to add is that especially for solo positions, agents are really looking for connection. Like, can you connect with the audience? Can you befriend them? Can you get them to be engaged in the evening and these kind of things? It's really important, and they tend to look for this sometimes as much as the music side of things. So if you can develop that entertaining side of things, that would be really useful for you. And one example I'd like to give you is that I have seen classical trained singers that have wonderful voices that they train for decades, and they wouldn't get hired on a cruise ship because this is all they have. And the truth is that even if it's really beautiful to listen to, this is not suitable for the role of being a piano vocalist, piano bar entertainer, where you're very close to people and you need to have it balanced. Also, when you're a piano bar entertainer, there are three things that really matter, and same for a guitar vocalist. There's the piano side of things, there's singing side of things, and then the entertaining side of things. You need to have at least two of these where you're really good, and to showcase that in your show reels so that you have all the chances to get there. Some people are not such great singers, some people are not such great pianists, but if you have humor and you know how to play the piano, or if you're just really good at what you do musically and you don't really know how to interact with people, usually you're gonna get a chance. Now about stage fright. A lot of you might be wondering like, oh, I just have so much stage fright, I don't know if I'd be able to do what you do. I was really scared when I started performing on cruise ships, and I think it's just a normal musician thing to experience that. And the truth is that if you're applying for a position where your video, your show reel is going to be your audition, where you're not going to be auditioning, so all the roles like duo, solos, or party bands, then it doesn't really matter if you experience stage frights. You just need to get the clips where you look the most confident, right? But of course, if you're paralyzed, it probably will show on your show reel. But I would not worry so much about this, because as you perform hours a day, you're going to get confident very quickly. Like, your body can't get stage fright for many hours at a time at the same level, right? The anxiety goes down, you get used to it, you get more comfortable, you adapt. So that's not something I would worry about. Quick pause here. If right now you're wondering, okay, but what about my specific situation? Am I good enough? Am I the good kind of profile to get hired on cruise ships? I can help you figure that out by booking a call with me down below. There's a link right here where I can help you on the music side of things or preparation for cruise ships side of things. And if you have any questions, this is the perfect moment for me to get in touch with you and see if your project is actually a fit and how likely you are to get hired on cruise ships. So feel free to book that down below, and let's get back to the video. Now, how big and how good does your repertoire needs to be? So if you have at least 150 songs in your repertoire, again, if you're applying as a solo, duo, or party band, that's already good enough, and that's already enough to keep you going for a couple of nights without having to repeat the same songs over and over again. It's really important that you diversify the decades of songs that you have, the generations, so that we have a bit of everything. And also in terms of styles, it's really important that you show versatility, and of course try to pick international and known songs, so that if a guest asks you a song that they want, maybe you're gonna know it. Now, there are a couple of myths that you might have heard, like, oh, you really need this, or maybe some beliefs that you have that are actually completely wrong for getting hired on cruise ships. The first one is perfect pitch. You absolutely don't need this, or you don't need to be the best musician in the world to get hired on cruise ships. So many times I've seen people who are not that good, who don't have such the best voice in the world, but they're good at entertaining, they're good at what they do on the piano or on their instrument. Nobody will ever ask you for a perfect pitch. The second one, improvisation. Is that important? Yes, it is kind of important. Before I got hired on Royal Caribbean, my agent was asking for me to know how to improvise a little bit, especially like blues stuff. So it depends again on the position that you're applying for, but yes, it will be important that you know some kind of improvisation, but I wouldn't say that's the one thing that will get you not hired if you don't have it. And one small tip for this, if you want to learn how to improvise, like literally just focusing on the blues scale and basic chords on the left hand. Yeah, like that's a really easy way to improvise, like going up and down the blues scale. And that makes it look like you know how to improvise, even though it didn't take you long to learn that. Again, if you want any help with this, feel free to book a call with me down below. Now, what about original music? Well, agents, they don't want this. Like, you have to think about the cruise ship perspective. The goal of the cruise ship is to get their guests to be happy, and for them to be happy with the music, they need to hear songs that they know and to recognize the songs and to sing along and these kind of things. And so if you talk about your original music, and I have so many musicians that come to me and say, oh, can I sing my original music on ships? And I'd love to do this for my own songs. And I'm like, yes, maybe once you will get on board, you will be able to sing your own stuff because people will get curious. They'll ask you like to sing a song, or maybe one day it's quiet and you just don't really have anybody asking you for songs. So you're just going to play your own song and nobody's going to notice. And maybe you can even say, hey, this is one I wrote. But you really have to sell yourself at first. And so don't put your own songs in your show reel. Make sure to keep that on the side and to really give what the agents and what the cruise lines want, so what the guests want from you. And then once you're on the ship, it's different, right? So really focus on covers that are famous. Even if it's boring, like again, once you get on the ship, you can do whatever you want. Now, let me tell you what it looks like for a musician or a singer to be not ready, because I've seen so many of them, and agencies keep seeing musicians who are underprepared, not ready, and that will probably really struggle getting hired because they're just not good enough yet, or there's some reason why it just won't work for them in that moment. So if you're applying for a singing role, so if it involves singing, you need to sing in tune, you need to have a good rhythm, you need to have some kind of presence. Again, like the benchmark I told you about earlier, do people say you have a nice voice? Do people say you're nice listening to? You don't have to be the best singer in the world. I never really took vocal lessons. I mean, maybe a couple, but that's it. But I always had this thing where I knew I sing in tune and people tell me I have a nice voice. So this really matters. If you sing out of tune, if you don't know how to, if you don't have any musicality, it's going to be really difficult, no matter the instrument, for you to get a job on cruise ships, because they're looking for people who are good. This one has nothing to do with the music, but it's really important. If you don't know how to be on time or to be professional, and I think this might be one of the reasons why so many musicians miss out on these opportunities, is because they don't reply, they don't know how to reply well, they don't know how to write well in an email to an agent. They miss the deadlines for sending documents or signing a contract. And this has nothing to do with the actual music, but it's something that can really get you, like so many times also on cruise ships, I saw musicians who got fired because they didn't respect the rules for whatever. And so being able to respect the hierarchy, respecting the rules, showing up on time, being professional, basically, also following all the things that you need to do in terms of sending to the agents. I did a video about the show reel that you need to send, for example, and if you follow all of this, then it already shows you're professional and that you're someone they can count on. And that's really, really important. So you are not ready if you are not professional, if you can't have a boss, and if you can't show up on time and show up in a professional way. Now, musically, you are not ready if... So let me take piano as an example, because that's the one I play. So let me tell you what it looks like to be ready. It's, you can play different styles. You can self-accompany confidently, so you can sing and play and look around, right? Or if you're just playing as an instrumentalist, the level is even higher. You can play the keyboard, you can play the guitar, you can play whatever instrument it is at a level where you would be hired as an instrumentalist like this in a pro band, even on land, right? This is the benchmark we're looking at. A lot of the times you will have to learn songs, unless you're a vocalist, solo act, you will have to learn songs very quickly, maybe in an hour or two. So you have to be good at picking things up. You have to be good at improvising solos on the spot. And that's really important. And for a solo piano vocalist, you need to have different patterns of accompaniment. You need to be able to play upbeat stuff, to play stuff that are slower. I'd say in terms of the instruments, it's more okay for a solo act to be less good on the instrument. If you're not that good, you can hide it. I actually have a musician that I coached who didn't feel like it was her main strength, but she still got hired because she had the voice, she had the presence, she had the professionalism, and she was committed and she did the work. And then she's getting better, on the instrument. So yes, this I would say is the benchmark. If you have any questions about your specific situation, you can leave a comment below and I'll reply to as many as I can. And again, it's very silly, but in terms of repertoire, you are not ready if you don't have 150 songs at least. Like, that's the bare minimum. If you don't have these amount of songs, of course, if you're applying for the sight reading for the orchestra show band, it's different. You need to be really good at sight reading. You need to be able to read the sheet music and to play it instantly, something like that. Sometimes you you're getting shows in the theater that are tonight and you have 2 hours to rehearse it, and you're going to play in front of 1,000 people. So you have to be really good at this if you're on the sight reading, audition side of things. If you are on the repertoire side of things, you need 150 songs. It needs to be diversified. And ideally, you really want to go more, like 200, 250. This is definitely a reason why you're not going to get hired if you don't have the repertoire. So really, really important. And the last thing is that you're not fully ready if you don't have the documents that are needed to work at sea. There's STCW, which is a safety at sea training. It's like a whole week where you are learning how to do safety at sea, how to take care for passengers and these kind of things if something bad happens at sea. And the second thing is a medical exam. Both can cost a little bit of money, but both are mandatory for you to work on cruise ships. I wouldn't say to get these things before you get a contract. First, get a contract, get in touch with agencies. And once you have a contract, they will tell you what to do. They will tell you what you need. But if I had to answer to this question honestly, because I know a lot of you guys who talk to me under my YouTube videos, like in the comment section, or who I talk to on Instagram, on Facebook, etc. A lot of you and a lot of us actually, because I'm the same thing, that we're not good enough, and that's just a musician's thing. You probably are. When I first started on cruise ships, it was around COVID time, and I spent 10 days in my cabin isolating because I couldn't get out. Like everyone who was new on the ship had to isolate for 10 days. And I got so panicked and so obsessed and so anxious because I thought I wasn't good enough. But the truth is that if you are hitting the benchmarks that I described here in this video, if you know how to sing, if you know how to, like roughly, if you know how to play roughly, you know, and if you get a response from an agent, like you are good enough. And I think a lot of you probably are. And if you're not, then you probably know what you need to work on. And I'd say that across all the musicians that I've coached and that I've worked with and that I've seen trying to apply on cruise ships, the most often it is live confidence, like confidence to perform live, and repertoire range that they need to work on, and the rest is fixable. So yeah, you can build it. Now, if you have questions about your specific situation, your level, your repertoire, your show reel, or if you want help preparing for a cruise ship audition or preparing your show reel, or you're building up your skills to get there, you can book a call with me down below. I work with musicians one-on-one, and I can tell you exactly where you stand right now and what you need to fix in order to have better chances of getting hired on cruise ships. That's probably everything I wish someone told me before I sent my first application. Good luck with this, and if it helped you, feel free to subscribe. I post videos like this regularly for musicians who are thinking about taking this path. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.